Are you suffering from a broken heart? Maybe heartache?
Or do you have a hunch that a past relationship has messed up your vibe?
Or do you catch yourself being just like your parents? Or do you keep attracting the same kind of relationship over and over and over?
Well, if this sounds like you have joined the right Facebook Live show. So whether you catch yourself being like your parents, or whether you have heartache, or whether you keep attracting the same relationships over and over today, we have brought the person today who's going to help us figure that all out. Welcome back, Dr. Brad Nelson. We're so pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be back,
Yes.
Michael and Dana and John. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we created quite a buzz on episode number 187, your first visit with us. You know, the numbers, the live viewers went through the roof, the question and answers went through the roof, and we helped a lot of people understand about the emotion code processes and its benefits. So today, Mr. Nelson, Dr. Nelson, we brought you back because we want to talk about something very important. And as practitioners, we use this process to help people that have broken hearts or heartaches or having relationship challenges, and it's called the heart wall. So we're going to ask you to tell us about that. We've gone live here on Facebook, so we're going to take some live questions. But what I'd like to do is I've asked Dana and John to bring us a story about a heart wall so people can really hear the end result of what you're about to teach us about what we all should know about the heart wall. So you can hang in there for a moment. John, welcome, and say hello to our friends watching today.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Inverarity. I'm a certified emotion code and certified body code practitioner. And I am a chronic pain specialist. I love helping people with chronic pain, chronic concerns, just unexplained chronic pain, and helping people with relationship blocks, and also helping athletes with performance blocks.
Yes. Yeah, I like when you say unexplained chronic pain. It's because nobody can explain it. Well, guess what? We can. It's called trapped emotions. So, John, welcome. We're going to go talk to Dana. Then, John, I want to hear your heart wall story. So, Dana, good morning. Another Vancouverite. Good morning.
Morning. Excited to be here. Very excited for people to understand what the heart wall is. So I work with mainly women entrepreneurs, and somehow we always seem to get talking about relationships and why they're not moving forward, whether it's in their love life or just in their business in general. So I have a great story about a heart wall session, accomplished several things, several releasing. So I look forward to sharing that story.
Okay, great. And I'm Michael Losier. I'm the host of the Hangout with Michael show. We're here every Friday. Matter of fact, today's episode number 189. That means almost every Friday for 189 Fridays, we are here to uplift you and inspire you and give you the tools so you can have a rich, full, delicious life. My hunch is you're going to say yes if you're in. If you're watching live, leave us your comment. Let us know where you're calling from. A question for Dr. Brad. We'll have that section later on. John and I are going to be reading your live comments. Most of you are on my Facebook page, so you already know I'm the author of 2 best-selling books, Law of Attraction, 37 languages, and Law of Connection, an NLP book, 34 languages. And I'm very excited that my next book is called Your Life's Purpose. It's available for pre-order on Amazon out June 6th. And you can hear what I have to say about that and what I think that your life purpose might be. What business is it of mine? Well, my business is to help you have a rich, full, delicious life, and that's where your life's purpose comes in. So, John, we're talking, Dr. Brandon Nelson today is going to tell us about the heart wall. I want people to hear the end result of what happens after a heart wall session by a certified practitioner. So, John, tell us your heart wall story, please.
Absolutely. So I was sitting on a patio yesterday afternoon wondering what story I was going to share today. So then I went home. About 3 hours later, ding, in comes the email. Someone I worked with twice over the last 6 months had this awesome story. So we worked on a number of different things, half a dozen different things, and over 2 sessions, and heart wall came up, cleared the whole heart wall. And she noticed her mindset changed after these sessions. So she was thinking differently. about situations and scenarios. So she can now be happy when she's around her friends that are in relationships. She can be happy for them, whereas before it was something else. It was a different emotion on the chart, one of these nasty ones, dozens of them. And yeah, she'd feel awkward in groups because she, was alone, right? So basically, yeah, she could reset her vibe a lot quicker when she's with groups. And coincidentally, 2 weeks ago, she got a message from an old friend that she knew for actually over 2 decades. And they started chatting back and forth, and they're going on a date next week.
That's sweet.
Yeah. How cool is that?
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's got law of attraction, and it's got
Totally, yeah.
It's got everything in there. Hey, we're going to go to Dana in just a minute, but first, John, thank you. I just want to acknowledge we have some friends joining us. I have lots of friends so far. We have Sylvia Bellini, our lifetime watcher from Windy, London. We have Sylvia Leva. Good morning. She's a longtime watcher as well. Misty Anderson from Alaska. Loving that. Alam, good morning. He is from Bangladesh, and he's saying, nice to see you, Dr. Bradley Nelson. Jim Inverarity. I know it sounds familiar because he's the daddy of John Inverarity, who's also a body code and emotion code practitioner, very successful. He is saying hello. So good morning, Jim. And Gudrun Will Roland, she's from Vancouver, so we're saying hi to Gudrun. And Roger Leck from Singapore, Pamela Leonard from Arizona, Kelly Clarkson from, she's saying hello, and Jennifer from St. Paul, Minnesota. We're collecting lots of comments and hellos. Dana, tell us your heart world story, and I have quite a funny one, so I'll let you know. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I've got some good outcomes from this one. I was working with someone we worked over a month doing, and Dr. Nelson will talk about this, but we looked at what her heart wall was made of, and her heart wall was totally a mile thick of boulders. So she was really had that heart trapped in there. So she said before the sessions, she always felt numb, disconnected from people, and very isolated. And she said she could be in a room full of people, but still feel really alone, even with her closest relationships. So we started doing the work, and she also wanted to take some action on some business things. So we did find out there was not a heart wall, but a hidden heart wall. And I know you're going to talk about that. So now she says, I'm so relaxed and comfortable and at ease when I meet people. She says, I share openly and my relationships are improving. She's taking consistent steps to move forward. And she can remember, as I can, the exact moment where I can't remember what the emotion was that was released, but I just literally saw the boulders like all break down. And she saw it at the exact same moment. And she said, it's like one of those woo-woo kind of feelings, but I could just see it. I said, she said, yeah, they're just broken. And the other thing, which is so funny about this one, and she wrote in testimonial, the last thing, for all of my 20 years of married life, I've snored. To the point where her husband has moved to the guest room to sleep during the nights. He'd start off in the same room, but then he'd move. And since the release of the heart wall, I've stopped snoring.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a nice connection.
Yeah, so I don't know how, but there you go. Yeah, it was great.
Well, thank you, Dana. Hey, I want to give out to the shout out that a woman that I met at a seminar, she came over to me, it was a 2-day seminar. She came over to me Sunday morning. She said, I don't know who you are, but we're going for lunch. And I was just Michael, a student. Nobody knew that I had written a book. I was just Michael, the student. So we go to this really, really crowded restaurant. And between the walk from the seminar to the restaurant, I kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to introduce her to the emotion code. I don't know who she is. We have 1 hour. So whatever she wants from me, we better get to the point fast. So I ended up doing a heart wall session with her in a crowded restaurant, muscle testing with the chart on my iPhone. We did a heart wall session, and she hadn't been in a relationship for 23 years. And in the emotion code session, looking for heart wall, I uncovered a heart wall that she had when she was 26 years old. And we released all the emotions. And when I was done, she was left at the altar when she was 26 years old.
Oh, boy.
and it scarred her forever. She hadn't been in a relationship. So, 2 weeks later after the seminar, she's calling me on the phone now and telling me, she said, 3 of her old boyfriends are all over her. She said, what's going on? I said, well, now you can go manage that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my hunch is if you're watching, you might be experiencing heartache, heartbreak, or loneliness. So Dr. Brad Nelson, please thank you. Well, thank you for coming back and joining us today. This is such important work around the emotion code and body code. Welcome back. And where would you like to start introducing the heart wall to our friends at home?
Oh gosh. Well, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to reconnect with all of you again. Well, the heart wall. During the years that I was in practice, trying to figure out what was wrong with people, of course, I had this habit of asking for help from up above with each person that I saw, and it was a totally private, personal thing. But I was really just so obsessed with trying to really understand what was wrong with people. And for a number of years, after I had figured out what was going on with emotions, there was something still going on that I wasn't aware of, because people would come in and they would have emotional baggage that I would release, but they would have other emotional events or traumas that that wouldn't show up. And I knew they had to have baggage about those things, but I couldn't find it. And so I always kind of puzzled about that. I knew that there was some piece of the puzzle that was still missing. And so what happened was one day, it was in 1998, my wife and I were at a conference on magnetic healing, and I was one of the speakers at the conference. She woke me up early in the morning of this conference and said that she'd had a dream. And in the dream, there were some symbols, and she knew that these symbols had to do with her health and well-being. And so she asked me if I would help her to figure out what the symbols meant. And so as I was doing that, in the middle of that, I had this waking vision, literally, where the room that I was in kind of disappeared, and instead I'm seeing this incredibly beautiful hardwood floor, and this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. And I mean, I don't even drink caffeine. I mean, nothing. I'm a total teetotaler, so you can't attribute it to that at all. It was instead, it was really a message from up above to me. And at the same time that I'm seeing this vision of this floor, and I could see this in high def. I mean, it's the most beautiful floor I've ever seen in my life. It looked like it had 100 coats of polish. It was incredible looking. And at the same time that I'm seeing this, I have an understanding in my mind that my wife's heart is underneath this floor. I have no idea what this means. I asked her if she knew what it meant. She had no idea. We prayed, asked God to help us, figured it out within about a half an hour. What had happened was she was born into a very volatile family. Her father was a rageaholic. And by age 2, she had felt like her heart was going to break, and so her subconscious mind started putting a wall around her heart. And what we found was that wall was actually made of layers of her emotional baggage, her trapped emotions. So we started releasing those. And it took a process of time to get rid of all those. And when the last one was released, just like the lady, Dana, that you were talking about, my wife always felt like she was on the outside in any situation she was ever in. She never felt like she belonged really anywhere, and struggled with depression, anxiety, and all these other things. And when that heart wall was gone, suddenly she had this change, this major change that happened, where she felt like she was on the inside and like she belonged. And it was really an incredible thing. So initially I thought, well, my wife has had some weird things. Maybe this is just her. But no, we find 93% of people have this phenomenon going on. It's an incredible thing. And when the wall is taken down, what happens is it enables you to really connect better with other people. Love is a verb, and it's probably a noun, but it's also an energy that we send other people. And they've proven in the lab, when you're feeling love or affection for another person, your heartbeat will actually become measurable in that other person's brain waves, right? Think about that. Yeah. There's this invisible communication going on. And so the heart, is really the most important of all the organs in the body. It's what the ancients believed it to be. It's the seat of the soul, the source of our love and creativity, and the core of our being, and the source of romance and everything else. Even today, and this goes back to ancient times, I think, even today when we have Valentine's Day, we hand out heart-shaped boxes of chocolates and things, because it's all about the heart. Well, in the West, we've always thought that's just poetic license. You know, the heart is just a pump. We know, we've looked at it. There's nothing in there, right? But what we find now is that the heart really, truly is a second brain. It puts out this energy field that extends out around the body, 12 feet in diameter. And there are lots and lots of ancient writings about the heart. You know, like God doesn't look on the outward appearance, he looks on the heart. And as a person thinks in their heart, so will they be, and so on. I mean, this goes back to ancient times. And all those ancient writings we thought were just poetic license, but we're finding out they're actually true. And so 93% of people that we've tested have a wall that they put up at some point when they felt like their heart was going to break. And the problem is it's kind of a protective measure to put your heart into a bunker because the bombs are dropping. But the problem is when the bombs stop dropping, when the bully moves away or the divorce is over or you quit that bad job or whatever it might be, you're still carrying around this bunker now around your heart. And so the problem now is that your life becomes a diminished life because your best creative ideas lie not within this brain, but within this brain. And that's why when you graduate high school or college, you're told you need to follow your heart, right? And that's great advice. But what if your heart's inside of a bunker? It makes it a lot harder. And so that's what this is about, is it's about teaching people about this. And it's about enabling people to remove those walls. And we've seen so many amazing, amazing things happen. I'll tell you, in my own personal experience, I've seen people who were suicidally depressed, people who had to decide every day if they were going to continue to live that day or take their life that day. That's how bad they were. And I've seen them get well. I've seen their lives just transform literally in days after having that wall removed. Every severe case of depression that I've ever seen, in fact, pretty much every case of depression that I've seen, period, has had a heart wall that was a major, major part of that. And so, I'm sure that probably corresponds to what you are all finding as well. But the funny thing about the heart wall is that I never in my wildest dreams could have imagined something like this. It had to be shown to me because I don't have this kind of an imagination. I mean, what a strange phenomenon, but it's true. And sometimes it's really funny. I remember I had a patient once that had an addiction to chocolate. And I mean, it was really kind of ruining her life because she couldn't stop eating it all day long. She didn't know what to do. She came in to see me and I found she had a heart wall, and the symbolic material that her subconscious mind had chosen was chocolate for the heart wall material. Oh, yeah. The subconscious will always choose a material, right? And hers was this high grade of dark chocolate. So we started taking down these emotions. And when the last emotion was gone, suddenly she could not even stand the smell of chocolate. It took a year for the pendulum to swing back, and then she was able to start enjoying chocolate once in a while, like a regular human being. But we've seen it made out of all kinds of things. I'm sure you have too.
Oh yeah, great experiences around food. You know, my sister was going on a 10-day trip to Jamaica, and she had a lot of anxiety about the buffet, right? Because that's what they do when they go on their trip. So she said, I don't want to give up eating. I just don't want to eat desserts because I don't do them at home. So I did an emotion code session about her having desserts when she's at a buffet, when she's away. And she came back and she said she hadn't had one once. She didn't look at them. She didn't deny herself one. She wasn't envious of them. She just didn't see the dessert. So there you go. More great news around the trapped emotion. I just want to give a shout out, Dr. Bradley, to your book. It's called The Emotion Code. And then there's also called the Body Code System. And as practitioners, we help remove people's trapped emotions. And today we're talking about the trapped emotions that are gathering around the heart. And one of the things you say that the subconscious mind likes is to find out what it's made up of. So I recently did a session with a friend through text. He was texting. So we did a heart wall session, and it found out that it was cushions. And it wasn't pillows, but it was cushions, like a couch cushion. Uh-huh. So I found out that it was cushions. He said, good, it's cushions. I said, no, it wasn't enough information. it was boat cushions, like, in a boat,
Oh.
and then I'm finding all the information, and I told my buddy he doesn't have to answer questions. It sounds like I'm going to be asking you questions, but so I keep going, boat cushions. And my friend yells, he said, yes, I'm on my boat. And I said, oh, okay, then it's boat cushions. So I love the connection between what the wall was made out of and who or what his character could be.
Yeah, you never know. The subconscious, I've seen heart walls made out of all kinds of things. One-way mirror, where the symbolism is the person can see out, but nobody can see in to their heart. I've seen heart wall made out of diamond, where, the hardest material known. And even in the book, we talk about a woman that I worked on who had a heart wall that was made out of some kind of metal, and I couldn't figure out what kind of metal it was. I named every metal I could think of on Earth. And finally, I asked, well, is this a metal that exists on Earth? And the answer was no. And what had happened, and that sounds crazy, but the subconscious mind is in its own different sort of reality that knows no limits. And when you need a material for your heart wall to be made out of, it's a symbolic material anyway. But I think to the subconscious mind, it actually is real, but in a sort of on a different level of existence. But at some point in her life, she had apparently seen some B movie about aliens, and there was a spaceship apparently that they threw everything at, nukes and everything, and it was still there. And she was in this bad marriage, and her subconscious mind was looking for a material for that wall to be quote unquote made out of. And when it remembered that material, it thought, oh, wait a minute, that's what I need. That's super strong. And that's what it was made of. And when that was actually taken down, she went back to her husband. She'd been married for 22 years, and he was really verbally and mentally abusive. And she'd been able to stay in the marriage because she had this wall. And all of her friends wondered, how in the world can she stay with that jerk? And when she went back into the marriage, suddenly she could feel everything that was really going on, and 2 weeks later filed for divorce. It was the best thing, I think, that she ever did. So sometimes marriages improve dramatically. Sometimes people get married that never ever thought that they would. And then sometimes things, break up that really probably should break up. One of my favorite testimonials was from a lady in Italy. She sent this story in with a picture of herself and her husband, and the two of them are in front of this little village where they live in Italy. And she said in her broken English, she said, for years my marriage run badly, and then I got a new husband. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh, she got a divorce, she got a new husband. No. It's the same guy. She hired an emotion code practitioner in Budapest to work on her husband and cleared his heart wall, and it's like totally transformed him. She said, now my husband is so sweet and loving. It's, thank you so much. It's like getting a new husband, no problem.
Good stuff. I've got a question here from somebody watching live. I'm going to ask John to queue up so he can read some other questions. So this is from our friend Jennifer Heiser. She's a watcher, a regular watcher. Greetings from St. Paul, Minnesota. So she says, talk about the hidden heart walls, please, and how do you find hidden heart walls?
Well, it's actually a hidden heart wall is really no different at all than a regular heart wall. It's just that when you have a heart wall, what I found when I was working with people was that if a person has a heart wall, maybe there are 10 or 15 or 3 or 4 or however many trapped emotions making up that wall. You can ask if a person has a trapped emotion. Maybe one of those emotions is anger. And maybe you've cleared all the other trapped emotions of anger in that person. And if you ask if they have another emotion of anger, the body will kind of look at this wall and it'll see a wall. And it'll say, no, there's no more anger. So in that sense, the emotions that make up the wall are now part of this wall. But what can happen is the heart wall can be what we call hidden, where it's almost like it's cloaked a little bit, like in sci-fi. You can't see it. It's there, but it's sort of invisible. And so when you ask if you ask a person if they have a heart wall, and you're muscle testing them and their body says, no, there's no heart wall, the next thing we do is ask if there's a hidden heart wall, which just means, do you really have a heart wall, but it's just a little bit, it's hiding from us? And then if the body says, yes, there's a hidden heart wall, at that point, it's no longer hidden. It's just a regular plain Jane heart wall. It's just not hiding anymore. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, when I do the heart wall session, I naturally or normally ask that question. When I'm done the regular heart walls, I say, is there any hidden ones? Great. John, who is saying what, please?
Yeah, lots of comments. I don't see any questions at the moment.
That's fine.
But people are saying, this is awesome, great timing. People are wondering, I guess that's why, all my relationships fail or don't work out. Some people interested in your book. Yeah.
I have a question for Dr. Nelson.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to one of your webinars the other day about the heart wall, and you were working with that a young woman who she had ended up having a hidden heart wall. You're doing the body code, but you got down to that, and it ended up that when she was having her second child, her husband left her.
Oh, right.
And what I'm finding with almost all the women that I talk to, there is a very traumatic situation. Many of them were raped when they're like in their 19s or 20s, and they've just almost kind of forgotten about it, but they go, oh yeah. So how is it that they're able then to marry later? Is it that they just keep hiding that heart wall and they let people get close, but it's not really the best relationship?
Well, yeah, it's kind of amazing to me. I've pondered over this. With 93% of people having a heart wall, how does anybody fall in love and get married?
Yeah.
But people do. I think that I think we're kind of genetically programmed, to do that, and we do fall in love. And of course, even with a heart wall, you can still feel emotion. But when you have the heart wall taken down, what happens is you become more able to feel more deeply, more keenly. And in fact, the classic sign for me of that is when someone comes back and says, since my heart wall was taken down, now I can actually feel God's love for me. I can feel things that I could never, ever feel before. So it's not that having a heart wall stops you totally from feeling anything, but it puts a damper on your feelings, and you don't know it. It's like the classic thing that people used to say to me sometimes is they would say, I had no idea that I could feel this much better, because they were living in sort of a diminished state and just didn't realize that they were until something changed.
Yeah. They were used to it. Good. We're going to start to wrap up. I'm going to acknowledge some more people that are watching live, and I'm going to ask John and Dana what was one thing they heard today from Dr. Bradley Nelson that was helpful or inspired them or gave them a new way to look at something differently. First, our friend Beverly Wetmore, she's so happy to see you all today. I love the emotion coach stories. She's from Hickory. Premilia, she is from beautiful Parksville, which is on the island that I'm living on. We have Christine Campbell from Calgary. Hey, Christine, welcome. Jewel from Victoria. Happy that you're joining us again, Dr. Brad. Silverton, Ontario. That's Leslie Marshall. Josie B. Bonjour from Ottawa. Welcome back, Dr. Brad. This panel rocks. Thank you. Beth Johnson. Hello, everyone. Beth is saying, this is so fascinating. Thank you, Michael and Dr. Brad. Mark is from Trinidad. Hey, Mark, good morning or good evening to you. Sabrina is saying hello. And Beth, she said, should I order this book? Yeah, 2 copies, one to hand out and one to keep. And good. So we have Alexandra Field and Sylvia Bellini. After today's show, of course, we always like to go in and acknowledge your comments. If you have a question for any of us today, you can do that. John, how can people get a hold of you? And what was your learning today? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so if you think you have a relationship block or some aches and pains, you can find me at aliveandpeer.com. And yeah, my takeaway from today was, of course, from Dr. Brad, when people tell you to follow your heart, but what if it's in a bomb shelter, you're in a bomb shelter, what are you going to do there?
That's like one time I was doing a radio interview and talking about law of attraction, and the interviewer said, well, what about reality? I said, what if your reality sucks? Really, what they talk about your reality like it's the best place ever. No, reality sucks for some people.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks, John. Dana, what's your wrap up today?
Well, I really liked what Dr. Bradley said about you just like with your wife that that hardwood flooring showed up. So we don't know. And sometimes I think, well, you know, am I making it up? But I just sit there and connect with source, you know, as we all do. And it's like, I don't know why it's butterflies, you know, it's just, it's butterflies that are showing up, or it might be paper. And someone thinks, well, paper isn't very strong, but it depends what their subconscious association with it. So I just want people to know that we're not kind of woo-woo out there doing stuff that, well, sometimes it doesn't make sense to us, but that's kind of what we're given. And then when you ask for confirmation, it's like, yeah. And then they tell you a story about why it was that. Just like with your wife in your book, you talk about that, the flooring, and how that story, why that flooring meant something to her. So I think it's important for people to know that we don't know what's going to pop up from that subconscious at all.
Right.
Good stuff. Well, good. Thank you to John and Dana, and of course, Dr. Bradley Nelson, the author of the book called The Emotion Code. You can check this out. You can buy it online. You know what? Get the hard copy. You know, I was looking at and when I got the hard copy, it really owned it. And I wrote in. I'm a book writer. Another little secret, which it's not a secret because some of my fans, you know, I graduated from high school 30 years ago, and I've read 10 books in 30 years. And this is book number 10, and I've read it over and over. And I can read, I'm just not a book reader. So this was the 10th book. Now, I used to be bragging, I read 9 books. No, you read 10 books. And I bought multiple copies to pass it on. So Dr. Bradley Nelson, how would you like to sign out today and kind of summarize your thoughts for us?
Oh, gosh. Well, you know, this work really came about because I was asking for help from up above with my patients all those years. And so this is a very, very special work that has come into the world at this time. It's very, very simple. Anybody can do it. We have kids doing it, getting amazing results. You can do it too. It's super simple. Try it. You know, if you need help doing it, of course, you've got John, you've got Dana, you've got Michael. There are other people out there. You can go to our website, Healer's Library. There's our practitioner list. You can look at that. We've got people all over in 64 countries actually doing this.
Nice.
But I would just say, take the time, take a look at this. By the way, we have an app now. You can go to the App Store, and you can actually download the book, and it has the chart of emotions in there, and it's interactive, you know, so you can get definitions. And the book is in here, and the book on audio is in here as well.
Oh, awesome.
So I just want to thank you for giving me a chance to connect. This is really fun. If you want to have me back on, let me know.
You know what? The last time you said that, the minute you left the call, we were clapping like seals. So we will definitely find another subject to bring you back. We love having you here. Everyone loves your energy, and we are, like you, we're dedicated to help more people to understand about the emotion code and how really they can get off pills and drugs and, you know, self-help groups where they keep talking about the same problem. Learn the emotion code. Do what you need to do to get a copy of Dr. Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code. Hey, everybody, let's say goodbye to our friends watching live.
Michael, do we want to tell them about next week's show?
I want you to tell them about next week's show, please.
All righty. Yeah, please join us. It's episode 190. So it's going to be how to open your allowing valves so you can allow more in. That's one of the most topical and most viewed shows that we do. So next Friday, tune in, same time, same place.
Yeah. I know a lot of you are good at requesting what you want, but then you don't open the door to allow it in when it gets here. So next Friday, we're going to talk about what you need to do to allow more after you've placed your order to Law of Attraction. Thanks for hanging out with us live here today, every Friday, 9 o'clock at facebook.com/Michael Losier Fan. See you later, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.